York is actually a very large junior volleyball region, and so it's constantly growing. There's a lot of girls playing. We sold out all of our camps this season, so that right there has shown the growth. But I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she's already interested in playing, and so I think that the more that we expose the youth, and that's our #1 goal as we try to continue to increase attendance, is how do we bring in a youthful audience so that they buy in at an early age and want to see not only the growth of the program, but themselves potentially in a Rutgers jersey in the future.
So when you see those young fans in attendance, how much belief does it give you that, as popular as the sport has become over the past couple of years, that there's even more room for growth?
Well, I absolutely think so. And I actually got a call this past summer from our school bookstore because they were saying they sold out of the youth volleyball shirts that they had sold there. So we constantly have parents asking where they can buy gear and how they can be representative of Rutgers volleyball, which I think is such a huge display of affection towards our program and our players, but also that, again, that these players can see themselves on the court in the future.
So as one of the most easternmost schools inside the Big Ten, you could certainly argue that your team, Maryland, and the West Coast schools will be most affected with the addition of the 4 West Coast schools by travel and logistics. How, as a program, can you try to offset that for your players who are obviously trying to balance academics with athletics?
Rutgers is an extremely challenging academic institution. We're one of the top-ranked public schools in the country, and my players are in really solid majors. We're in bio majors and equine science majors and all under the sun. But we have a really strong academic support system that allows us to make sure we're in appropriate classes that can help make sure we regulate our amount of missed class, things like that. But we're going to do our best to make sure our off days align. We take Mondays off so that we can focus on Monday as an academic day. But I think the travel, like anything else, everyone's going to have their own challenges, as long as the first year is always going to be a learning year. So we'll take what we learned this year. And we have one trip out west. So.
And it's a cool trip. You have a Friday, Sunday at Washington, at Oregon, 2 gorgeous places.
I've actually never been. So
and
really
I was
excited.
going to say, probably a spot that a lot of your coaches and players have never been to. How much are you looking forward to that aspect of what this expansion means for the student athletes especially, and the experiences that otherwise they may never have been able to enjoy?
Well, I think in twofold. It allows us to recruit from areas of the country that historically we haven't been successful recruiting from. We've always been open to the California schools because typically if you're going to go play out west, you tend to want to go to Southern California in preseason. But we've seen a lot of interest from the Pacific Northwest and players, especially in this 26 and even in the 27 class, because now they know they can play in front of their family and friends at least throughout their career. So that's a great opportunity. And our players who grew up, Florida, Texas, maybe they've never taken those trips before either. So I'm excited for that. My assistant, Ryan, he was bummed that we're not going to USC and UCLA because he grew up in Southern California, but I told him, hopefully in 2025.
Future years,
yeah.
For sure. There's been a conversation about kind of the difference in style between West Coast volleyball and those schools coming from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. How much legitimacy do you think there is to that conversation that the West Coast is a little bit more about strategy and perhaps massaging points in and out, whereas the Midwest and the East Coast volleyball is more about size and power?
I think there's definitely legitimacy to that. But the coaches on the West Coast who knew that this transition was coming, I feel like they've prepared for that through the recruiting of the past few years. USC, for example, Oregon, they have some really players that could easily transition into other programs that have historically been in the Big Ten. So yes, there is a difference. There's a nuanced style to more stylistic, potentially ball control, but shottier. And the Big Ten is a bully league, right? So power is king, height is king, but I think that they'll transition nicely.
Some of your players are just making their way into studio now. We don't see a lot of underclassmen. It's usually seniors or grad students, but Zora Hardison is with you here today. Tell us a little bit more about her as not just a player, but as a person and someone you obviously have a lot of respect for to represent your program on this stage.
It's an interesting story with Zora. I saw her play. She was playing down a club season, and so at a younger age group, and I offered her after watching her play one set. And she was a basketball player, and she was blocking people with one hand. And I was like, well, if she can block with one hand, she can block with 2. And so when she came on her official visit, some of the questions that were asked were like, you guys fly to games? There's just a lot of things that she was learning throughout her visit process, but she's been a wonderful addition to the team. And last year, with the injury that we sustained in the midway through the season, she's had to step in and fill some pretty big shoes, and she did that very nicely. And now she's very motivated to be the best of the best amongst the middles in the Big Ten.
I'm assuming that if you could, those would be the kind of recruiting trips that you like to make. Frees up a lot of time for a coach if you're there watching one set before you're ready to make an offer.
I know. I think her mother was upset with me afterwards because all the other coaches were lined up afterwards, but it was a good recruiting trip for me.
Obviously, the transfer portal has been huge for all of college sports. Volleyball, you have a transfer athlete with you and Aly Borellis. Why is she the right fit for your program?
You know, we were looking to fill another setter role, and I had recruited Aly originally before she committed to her previous institution, and it was during the COVID recruiting cycle, so wasn't able to visit, wasn't able to meet in person, and so ultimately chose her other institution. And I remember saying to her when she called to say to us that she wasn't choosing Rutgers originally, I was like, well, if you do ever transfer, please keep me in mind. And she did, and she's been a wonderful addition to the team, and I expect her to play a real leadership role for us this year.
The transfer portal, you'll see it nearly every team in all of Division I, certainly toward the top. Everybody has at least one or two transfer athletes. We've gotten a little bit used to that. Now we're throwing revenue sharing on the coaches' plates as well. We're not sure what that's going to look like. How do you kind of address the unknown and how it affects your program while you're still getting ready on a day-to-day basis to try to build the best volleyball program you can build?
And there is still a lot of unknown, and I feel like it changes on the daily or weekly at this point. As a head coach and as the manager of this program, I'm just trying to put us in the best position possible to be successful in the future. Rutgers is fully committed to the sport of volleyball, which I very much appreciate. And so I know we have a working group on campus that is going through all of the different options that we have from a revenue sharing standpoint. But I think these players are joining this program not just for the opportunity to share in revenue. I think they're joining this program. I know they're joining this program because they want to be the first in other ways, and they don't want to be the first ones to necessarily receive a paycheck, which they will hopefully be, but they want to be the first ones to put the banners on the wall and first opportunity to really put Rutgers volleyball on the map. So
I know most programs, most coaches, most players love the intimacy of their smaller on-campus gyms and fans being right on top of you, but you do get to play some of your home matches at Jersey Mike's Arena as well, which has become such an amazing home court edge for not just you, but for the basketball team as well. How special are those nights when your home games are in that gym with a lot more people able to watch the product that you're putting on the court?
And Jersey Mike's Arena is a wonderful venue to play in. Obviously, College Ave Gym has a lot of significant history to it, being built on the birthplace of college football. But we have majority, I would say 90% of our matches this year will be in Jersey Mike's Arena, which is exciting progress for the program. But it's a great fan experience. It's a wonderful venue for our players to play in. And obviously, Big Ten Network is able to put on a really good viewer experience as well.
All right, Caitlin, let's finish here with the success from last year, the upward trajectory that your team is on, the roster that you have returning. What's the balance between you setting goals as lofty as you can possibly set them, but also realistic and reachable for you and your program?
I think we've talked about this as a program, and obviously we're starting preseason next week. We do have 8 new people, 6 true freshmen, so we are younger again. But this year, 2 years ago, it was to not finish in last place. We've accomplished that, and now it is to take those steps towards the middle of the pack. So how do we do that? It's beating those teams that we feel that we were equitably competitive with last year, and then hopefully upsetting a few teams along the way. So.
Adding some more top 25 AVCA wins to the list. Caitlin Schweihofer, appreciate the time. Wish you and the Scarlet Knights the best of luck in 2024.
Perfect, thank you.
And you'll have plenty of opportunities to get those top 25 wins early. Take a closer look at the schedule. Wisconsin, Nebraska, USC, Washington, and Oregon. That's just the month of October. Then you get Purdue twice in a short period in 2 weeks in November. Plenty of challenges, plenty of opportunities for Rutgers and the Scarlet Knight players. And 2 of those players are standing by with Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. So excited to welcome Aly Borellis and Zora Hardison here today to chat with me and Holly, Rutgers student athletes. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. We're so thankful to have you here. Aly, I want to start with you. Welcome to the Big Ten. I want to hear a little bit about your decision to come join this conference and just kind of that excitement to be a part of this.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I'm from Michigan, and so I've always grown up around Big Ten and around kind of that atmosphere. So finally, when I got the chance, I kind of hopped on it, and I think it's super exciting to be around this kind of group of people and this competitive mindset and being around the fans that just grow up loving volleyball. And I think for me, that's a big thing for me, and I'm just excited to be around it and be in that atmosphere.
Zora, this is a program on the rise. Obviously, you were inserted into the lineup late in the season. How much confidence did that give you heading into the spring and this new season?
Honestly, it was a blessing in disguise. I think from what I learned last season will help me with the newcomers on the team, the transfer, and our new freshman middle. So being able to share that experience with them, I think will really help me and them with the game.
What has your focus been this kind of spring and summer? You started to see an increased role as the season went on last year, and now kind of expecting that even more from you. What has your focus been in the gym this summer?
Honestly, I think strengthening our serves for the game, our out of system, I think has definitely progressed. And just building trust. Trust is a big thing that we've been working on, and I think you'll see it in our season.
Aly, when did you join the team? Have you started in the gym with them?
Yeah, so I was there, I got in January. So middle of January, right when spring season started, I've been there. So I've been there for a few months now.
And
so.
what has been the biggest adjustment?
I would say there's a lot of adjustments. I feel like New Jersey as a whole is very different from where I've grown up and where I went to school previously. So it's definitely been different, just the people, the city, there's a lot more to do. And yeah, just being around these type of people, definitely different. We're all from around the United States, so that's also super cool. But yeah, I feel like Big Ten volleyball and just the North is definitely a lot different.
Zora, you experienced a big win last season over Minnesota. Can you just bring us back to that moment and tell us a little bit about what kind of clicked for the team and how that match kind of, what that felt like?
Honestly, it was just a lot of trust. I think we all looked like in each other's eyes and like knew like this is our moment. And like every point, we just took it one point at a time, like saying, like we got it, just reassuring each other. And I think that definitely helped us win.
This is a program that's broken attendance records, has a lot of momentum, 8 new players. How do you welcome them into the new culture? You're one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can go first. I think coming as a newcomer, it's hard to kind of put yourself out there without like stepping on toes. So at least for me, I just wanted to come in and show what I was capable of, but without like coming on too strong. But I think knowing that we have a lot of freshmen coming in is just showing that like it's different. It's harder than what you've done previously, but if you count on us as a family environment and understanding that this is like a competitive environment, like you're gonna thrive and you're gonna do incredible. So I think Zora can attest to this, but I feel like we're a very family environment and we always count on each other, and even outside of volleyball, like we're super close. So just bringing that in to everyone and showing us like what our standards are is definitely gonna help us a lot.
Yeah. I think the sophomores that are sophomores now, we definitely saw last year what we don't want to happen and what we do want to bring on to next season. So I think showing them like, hey guys, like this is what we want, this is what we don't want, and then more stuff to make us better.
Give us a little bit of a glimpse like inside the Rutgers volleyball gym right now. What does that culture look like? What does the gym look like? Just give us some insight on your team right now.
Yeah, I would say that we know that we can win. Like we know that we've hit all the levels that we want to hit to get to where we are today. So I think at practice, we always talk about like having that winning mindset. It's not just, you're just here to get reps. You're here to learn, you're here to get better. And I feel like we bring that into especially the new people coming in. It's like, this is what we want. This is what we're capable of. In order to do that, we need to put the work in. And I feel like it's just competitive and everything is intentional. I don't think we're just there to just be there. We're learning, we're seeing what works, and talk about last year. I wasn't there, of course, but knowing like what they did and what didn't work and what worked, and just using that to help us.
You have 4 international players that are going to be on the program. How does that culture blend into yours?
Yeah, it's definitely different, and I think if you hear it from like an outside perspective, it's kind of scary. It's like, oh, like they're so different, but in reality, they're people, and they want to learn. Like they want to know what our cultures are like, and Alyssa Kinkilla has been here for a while, and she's just such a bubbly personality, like so easy to talk to and very competitive. And at least for me, it's really cool to hear about what their volleyball experience is like over there and how they can bring that into our program. So no, it's just exciting. I feel like exciting is just a big word that we talk about, and just using what they can to bring to the table and how we can help them adjust. So.
Got a couple new teams entering the conference this season, some West Coast teams, super excited about that. Are there any matchups, Zora, that you're super excited to play against, or any gyms that you're looking forward to playing in?
Definitely USC. I've been a big fan of them, so being able to face them across the net, it's very exciting.
What about you, Aly?
I'm definitely excited to get out to the West Coast. I've never been out there ever, and I've always wanted to. I think Oregon and Washington will be one of the most incredible experiences, at least for me. But I'm from Michigan, so I'm really excited to play up there as well.
You're in a program that's building, gaining momentum all the time. What were the focuses during the spring, you joining the team?
Yeah, I feel like Definitely just leaning on each other. I think even though it is a sport, it's still a family, and you're with them so much. And I think just relying on each other to use what we've learned. And I think spring is a time to really focus on the little things and the little things that didn't work last year. And so really being able to nitpick those, and then bringing that into the summer and working together, and then also bringing that into the season. So yeah, just the small things, I'd say.
I think last year we were taking sets away, but now in the gym we've been focusing on key points to finish the game. And I think we definitely will this season.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Not just the set, but take that whole match. That's a great mindset to have. Zora, you're already playing in this conference. Can you tell us just a little bit about, give a little bit of advice to some of those newcoming schools about what it's like to play in the Big Ten? Every single night is going to be a tough match. There's never a gimme. Give some advice to some of those new schools joining the conference.
Honestly, just believe in yourself, trust in your training. You're here for a reason. That's pretty much it.
That's some good advice. I'll definitely give that. Okay, give us a little bit of an insight on what Rutgers volleyball is as people. We know what you guys are like as players, but give us some insight on kind of your team culture outside of the court as well.
Yeah.
Aly, you can start just joining this program
Yeah,
now.
no, for sure. I feel like coming in, it's hard to make relationships, I'd say, for probably everyone who's transferred. But I would say everyone is just so open to making relationships. I feel like a lot of schools have their little niche groups and who they're close with, but I feel like we do a really good job of just talking with everyone and bringing everyone in. If we're gonna go to a movie, it's put in the group chat, we want everyone there so we can build that culture. So I would say it's definitely, I keep saying this, but just a family-like environment. Everyone is super close, you can be real with each other. And I think a big thing we talk about this year is just not taking stuff personal. And I think once you have that family mindset outside of volleyball and you build those relationships, then there's no personal sort of things on the court. If you say something, it's from a good heart, good intention. So yeah.
Yeah. I think our team is a bunch of everything. If I want to go fishing, I have Anna. If I want to try new food, I have Kinkilla. And I think we're just there's a lot of complex, different things we like to do, and to share it,
Yeah, we're all different, but it all works.
yeah.
This season, you get to play in a bigger gym in front of more fans. What kind of opportunity is that for you guys?
I would just to get our name out there. I feel like we're finally at a stage where we can thrive and we can win. And so knowing that people are seeing that as our fans is just very heartwarming. And coming from a smaller fan base, I guess, in a sense, it'll be just super cool to be there and live in the moment and just be there with your teammates. So, yeah.
We've definitely seen this program over the last couple of years on the rise. Definitely great job from Coach Schweihofer. Can you give us a little bit of insight on what it's like playing for her as a coach, what you like about playing for Coach Schweihofer?
Yeah, honestly, she's just a great person overall. If you need her to be blunt, she's there for you. And I think she's also brought in amazing coaches. We have Abby, a great strength and conditioning coach, Erica. We're all just very on the same point, and I think that helps during season as well, staying together.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zora and Aly. We've loved having you here today. Can't wait to watch you this season. Enjoy the rest of your time here at Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.